My name is Henry Burke. Good afternoon. There's been quite a stir about the AP US History course, known as APUSH, in the last few months. What caused all of this uproar? The College Board drastically changed the new AP US History course from a general 5-page outline description to a 120-page curriculum framework. The new curriculum framework, the word curriculum is built into it, is effective this fall, that is right now. The College Board's changes are very alarming to those people who care about our country and know that America is an exceptional nation. The following items have been eliminated. John Sealer listed quite a few of these. I'll run through these again, please. These items have been eliminated from the APUSH framework. George Washington, the study of the Declaration of Independence, efforts of the U.S. to defeat fascism, Jefferson's first inaugural address, Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, Henry Clay, Andrew Jackson, Sinclair Lewis, Jane Addams, Theodore Roosevelt, the Lost Generation authors, John Winthrop's City on a Hill, the Cold War, Ben Franklin, James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, Roger Williams, American Revolution, World War II, Major Battles, America's Lend-Lease Program, Boston Tea Party, Patrick Henry, Theodore Roosevelt, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the goodness and greatness of America, merits of our 1776 heroes, the U.S. founding principles, and manifest destiny. Let's think about the things that the College Board deleted from the AP course. Some of you were teachers, and all of you can picture the classroom. If you were a teacher, how could you possibly explain the roots of our country without talking extensively about the founders? Could you help your students understand how we became a great nation without discussing the founders' lives and the sacrifices they made? Could they understand the birth of America without discussing the Revolutionary War? Would your students grasp why we abolished slavery if we didn't know the origins of the proposition, all men are created equal? As a dedicated teacher, could you teach your students about our country without spending time on World War I and II? I could go on, but you get the idea. With the new AP US History course, it is not just a matter of what the College Board left out. Instead of the positive aspects, APUSH dwells on all of the negative things about America. The new AP US History course emphasizes the following. European exploitation led to native decline and black bondage, white racial superiority, internment of Japanese Americans, dropping of atomic bombs, race and segregation, and a relentlessly negative view of American history. Again, let's picture your classroom. Would your students get the correct view of America if you constantly dwelled on racial superiority? Would they think highly of the United States if all you talked about was Japanese internment? Japanese Americans? As a teacher, you want your students to receive a balanced, not one-sided, a balanced education that is based on real facts, not on someone's negative view of America. On the law, from your reading of the Nebraska State Statute 79724, you know that state law requires that students must be taught about America. The Nebraska law mandates that we teach high school students about the U.S. Constitution and the Nebraska Constitution. We must make sure our students appreciate the advantages of a democracy over fascism and communism. Even if the law did not require this, we would want our students to have a balanced and complete education so they could become viable citizens. Clearly, the new AP US History framework does not comply with Nebraska law. Let's look more closely at the AP US History framework. The new APUSH curriculum framework makes it very clear that the College Board advanced placement exams will test only the items included in the framework. The curriculum framework states on page 10, every AP exam question will be rooted in these specified learning objectives. John Locke, Adam Smith, Gettysburg, The March to the Sea, Socialism, Booker T. Washington, radio, motion pictures, automobiles, Rachel Carson, Clean Air Act, space race, Watergate, and the Reagan tax cuts. You get the idea. Teachers will not teach the optional items because of the lack of class time. In addition to omitting important events and people in our history, the new APUSH curriculum framework consistently demonstrates a strong, progressive, liberal bias. For example, the American Revolution is mentioned, but only in a negative light. Instead of referring to the American Revolution, the AP writers call it the Colonial War of Independence. The APUSH authors could not bear to call George Washington the father of our country and our first president. Instead, they said, although George Washington's farewell address warned about the dangers of divisive political parties and permanent foreign alliances, European conflict, and tensions with Britain and France fueled increasingly bitter partisan debates throughout the 1790s. Direct quote. The framework consistently paints a negative picture of the United States. Racial superiority is emphasized whenever possible. According to APUSH, white racial and cultural superiority are the hallmarks of America. The APUSH curriculum framework could not find the time to say much about World War I and II, yet it mentioned the negative aspects of business. The framework instructs us that large corporations came to dominate the U.S. economy as it increasingly focused on the production of consumer goods. Again, a quote. Is it a sin to manufacture consumer goods? I guess so. The framework praises the efforts of progressives at every turn. For example, direct quote, progressive reformers responded to economic instability, social inequality, and political corruption by calling for government intervention in the economy, expanded democracy, greater social justice, and conservation of natural resources. The AP U.S. history authors inject the ideology, their ideology, throughout the document. For example, they are instructing the APUSH teachers to emphasize, quote, activists began to question society's assumptions about gender and to call for social and economic equality for women and for gays and lesbians. APUSH even takes a swipe at Christians by saying the rapid and substantial growth of evangelical and fundamentalist Christian churches encouraged significant opposition to liberal social and political trends. Many notable authorities have analyzed the new APUSH history framework. Their criticisms cover 9 main points, and I will list those. Number 1, the new APUSH attempts to impose national standards, not local or state. It is a detailed curriculum deceptively put forward as a framework. It is slanted in favor of progressive interpretations. It omits important topics. It claims to train students to be apprentice historians. It employs weak documentary sources. It falsely presents itself as flexible for teachers. It fails to provide teachers with adequate preparation materials. And finally, it was written by individuals hostile to American exceptionalism.